Okay, hi. I'm going to demonstrate how to use these Mylar EpiFlex English paper piecing templates. And Alice Benham has these at the Kentucky Quilt Company, and I took a class from her on how to use these. She has lots of different shapes now other than just hexies. These are really fun for English paper piecing. She also has these fun templates for cutting out your fabric. They're made by the same company. So I used this 1-inch template to cut out my little fabric pieces, which gives you a really nice piece of fabric to start with. And just makes it easier to get a really neat little hexie when you're finished. So the first thing we do to get this to stick and stay where you want it is use your little glue stick. This one's by Line, and you can get these in any Notion store. So we put a little glue about every other little wedge section. Well, I think I've dabbed it on several, but anyway, I used a friction pen to mark my fabric. Some people don't like those. I know I had some of these pens and I threw them all away at one time because folks were like, oh, the lines will come back, but Alice made a good point, only if you put it in the freezer. So nobody's gonna put their quilts in the freezer. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. So they are super handy. So when you iron it, the lines go away. So now we've got our little plastic template, stuck on there. So I'll do a couple more. These little glue stick pens are really handy. They usually come with a refill or two when you buy them. This just helps keep that little template in place for you while you're working with it, before you get your fabric folded around it. Okay. So now we're going to use our starch. So I've got a little bit of Best Press. You can use any kind of starch. I picked up these little handy brushes, which I think you can fill them with water or starch. That's really hard to do in something that small. So I just sprayed it into my little cup that came with my iron, and I just dip it in there. And then they make other, little starch pens that come pre-filled if you want to go that route. And if you can see here, I'm just brushing along the edge of the fabric and totally saturating that fabric, which might seem a little excessive, but it works really well. And you're like, ew, you're making a mess. Nah. Sorry about my dirty pressing mat. It's starch. And I don't know why it gets like that. Okay. So there's one. So now I'm going to fold the fabric over so that's nice and gooey or wet. And then we're going to take our little clips and clip each little corner. These little things are really handy for a lot of stuff. And so these little Mylar templates, they're heat resistant, so you can press them and press them. They don't melt. That's really cool. And your little clips are super handy. So typically what I do is I'll clip one like that, and then I'll do another one while that sits for just a minute to kind of, get used to its shape. And I've also still used, the paper hexagons as well in a project that I'm doing right along next to the plastic ones. It doesn't really, you can use them together. It doesn't matter. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the first one that we clipped, and I'm going to start taking these off and just hitting that with my iron, if I could not step on the cord there. So you can put your iron right on that plastic. It's not going to hurt it at all. And then just keep going around taking those off. Just want to, hold your iron on there until it really dries the starch. And then you are left with a perfect, pretty little hexagon. Just like that. And one reason I really like these little templates, of course you can use them with a rotary cutter, or just use them to trace and then cut them out, cut your shapes out with a scissor. It gives you a nice big edge that will fold around your template, and that just helps hold on there more securely, I think. For example, I made this flower in the class that I took at Alice's, and I think that was back in late February or early March, and the templates are still in there. I haven't done anything else with it, and so they're still really flat, and they're not going anywhere. They're really flexible, and they're made with little slits in them so that they can flex, because when you're sewing these together, sometimes you have to bend them certain directions to be able to sew them together, so that's why they're made that way. And then this glue is not permanent, so when you're ready to take those out, they'll pop right out. And I can even show you that. I can do it with one of these. So these have been in there for a while, but they'll come right out. Ta-da! And then they wash up with just soap and water, and then you can reuse them again. So easy peasy. But you do have a really nice crisp edge on your hexie. And then here's some that I did a few minutes ago. So then when you're ready to sew those edges together, you got a really nice edge, and you can't sew through the plastic, so you're going to sew right on that edge, and it's going to look really nice. Your stitches are going to disappear nice because you're sewing right on that tiny little edge. And it's fun, and she's got a lot of different shapes now too, so you can go check that out.
What other kind of shapes does she have?
I know she's got honeycombs, which I think are kind of like the little diamond shapes that make like the Lucy Boston crosses, and I think she's got squares, and I don't know what all else. Okay. But other bigger or smaller hexagons, and just a variety of shapes.
All right, thank you.
That's it. Okay, so this is an English paper piecing project that I've been working on. It's my temperature quilt, and I started out using just the regular paper hexies on it, and then along the way I learned to use the new kind, so I've incorporated both. So even, you know, here you can see I'm still using the paper, regular paper hexes, and I've also got the little Mylars, and so, you know, it's no problem to use both in a project and sew those together. If you've never done any of that, any English paper piecing, once you've got the whole shape surrounded, you can take those out. So this flower, for example, doesn't have any of the forms inside anymore.
All right.
But it's really fun if you like
Turn it over.
handwork. Oh, ta-da.
It's beautiful.